If you love historic Healdsburg homes, you might already know that they can come with sky-high renovation costs. I mean, many people start off thinking they want to renovate an old historic home, but the more they get into it, they wonder if they might just be better off building new construction or buying a new construction home. Luckily, there is a way to enjoy that classic Healdsburg charm without the headaches of an old house, and I'll show you how. As a Healdsburg resident and real estate professional, and someone who's done a major renovation project on an old home, I know firsthand the challenges that come with buying a historic home and doing a major renovation. I mean, you've got foundation issues, outdated systems, problems you probably didn't even know about, and it's definitely not for the faint-hearted. So in this video, we'll explore the full spectrum of new construction options in Healdsburg, from luxury developments like Mill District to Montage, to buying custom-built new home, or even finding a lot to build your dream home. We'll also share a dream scenario of a historic home that's been totally gutted and renovated that we'll be putting on the market in a few months' time. So first of all, the challenges of historic properties. I mean, don't get me wrong, these historic properties in Healdsburg they're absolutely stunning. The craftsmanship, the attention to detail, the way they transport you back in time, I mean, it's truly something special. But as someone who's worked with countless buyers and sellers in this market, I've got to be honest with you about the realities of taking on a century-old house. I mean, first and foremost, there could well be foundation issues. I mean, it's a common problem in these older homes. I mean, back in the day, they didn't have the same building standards and techniques that they've got today, and also they're incredibly old. So over time, the foundation can start to shift or crack and deteriorate, and in order to get a permit to do a major remodel, you might need to replace the entire foundation. And fixing those things is no small feat. It often requires extensive excavation, reinforcement, and sometimes a completely new replacement foundation. And we're talking about a significant investment of time and money. But it's not just the foundation that you might have to take a look at. These historic homes often come with outdated systems that need replacing. Think knob and tube wiring, cast iron plumbing, and inefficient heating and cooling systems. To bring these systems up to code and make them functional for 21st century living, you're basically looking at a complete and utter overhaul. And now let's talk about the permitting process. I mean, in Healdsburg, we've got a designated historic districts that come with their own set of rules and regulations. Any changes you want to make to the exterior of your home, particularly the facade, have to go through a review process, and you've got to work sometimes with the Historic Preservation Commission, the Planning Commission, and also the Building Department, all simultaneously to get your plans through. I mean, it might sound a bureaucratic nightmare, but it does, it's not too bad, but it can lead to unexpected delays and costs. And then speaking of costs, that's another big challenge with historic homes. You see, when you're dealing with a property that's 100 years old or more, there are always going to be surprises lurking beneath the surface. One of the biggest challenges, and in my view probably the most exciting, is striking the right balance between modernising the home and preserving the historic character. This is where working with a great architect comes in handy. You want to create a comfortable, functional living space that meets your needs, but you also want to honour the architectural integrity of the property. It's a delicate dance that requires a lot of thought, care and expertise. So while I adore the historic homes in Healdsburg, and I understand why so many people are drawn to them, I always make sure my clients are going into the process with their eyes wide open. It's not a project for everyone, and it's definitely not one for the faint of heart. But if you've got a vision, the patience and the resources to take it on, the rewards can be incredible. Even better, if you can find a home that's already been through a major renovation. If you keep watching this video, I'll tell you about a classic historic home in the downtown that dates back to 1910. It's undergoing a major transformation as we speak, including a new foundation. So it'll literally be as good as new once construction is completed. So by the end of this summer, someone will be the lucky new owner. So now let's talk about new construction options. If you do want new construction, there are multiple ways to achieve that at different price points and in different areas. So let's dive into some of the new construction options around Healdsburg. So first off, we've got the luxury developments. In wine country's real estate market, new construction is pretty rare, but luxury new construction, it's almost unheard of. So still, there are two game-changing developments for you that are offering limited opportunities for buyers who want the ultimate wine country experience. And these are literally the creme de la creme, the properties that offer unparalleled amenities, services and prestige. And there are two in particular that really stand out. First up, we've got Mill District. I mean, this is a project that's been generating a lot of interest, and for good reason. It's located just a stone's throw from Healdsburg Plaza, which means you're steps away from all the restaurants, tasting rooms and boutiques that make the sort of downtown area so special. And the Mill District offers a range of luxury condos and penthouses with starting prices at around 1.4 million. But what sets this development apart are the amenities. On the other side of town, we've got Montage Healdsburg, which is a resort development with the Montage brand that spans, I think it's like 250 acres. I mean, it's a real oasis nestled in the rolling hills and vineyards of Northern Healdsburg in Sonoma County. So now Montage is offering a limited number of custom home sites, which starts at around 1.5 million just for the lot. But what you're really buying into there is the brand of Montage and the lifestyle. As a Montage homeowner, you'll have access to all the resort amenities and services. So we're talking about world-class dining, full spa, and everything you'd expect in a high-end resort. And when you're not using your home, you can actually take advantage of Montage rental program, which means that your property can generate income while you're not there. But here's the thing about these luxury developments. They're not just about the flashy amenities or the prestigious addresses. They're basically offering a way of life, a sense of community and a level of service that is unmatched. When you buy into something like a Mill District, you're investing in an experience, one that's curated down to the smallest detail. So some people love them, but other people, they have no interest in this type of lifestyle. Of course, this comes at a price, and these are some of the most expensive properties in Healdsburg for sure. And as I say, they're not for everyone, but if you are looking for an ultimate wine country living experience and be part of something that's pretty special and new construction, they're definitely worth considering. Now, if you love the idea of a brand new home in Healdsburg, but the thought of managing a custom home build from scratch feels overwhelming, I've got some great news for you. But before I tell you about these options, I'd love to hear your thoughts on new construction homes. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. And if you want to stay updated on everything that's happening in wine country real estate, then please do hit the subscribe button. So let's get back to the video. So now let's talk about developer-built custom homes. So in Healdsburg, we're seeing an increasingly popular option is giving people the best of both worlds, a developer-built custom home. So here's how it works. You purchase a home that's been built by an established local developer, and they handle everything about the build process, from permitting to construction to final finishes. But you still get to enjoy the benefits of a custom home, like modern floor plans, high-end finishes, and energy efficient homes. The challenge is there are so few sites available for developers to buy and build a new custom spec home, so there just aren't that many. And one of the hottest areas for this type of development right now is a new subdivision called Farmstand. So this new subdivision has approximately 30 different lots for sale, and as I record this, I think there are just 3 left. You've got several developers building custom homes in here, with recent examples like 1010 Trontadou Road, which was listed at 2.395 million, and also 1000 Trontadou Road, which sold for 2.3 million. But here's where things get interesting. The developer who built 1010 Trontadou has purchased 2 more lots in the same subdivision, number 1021 and number 1011 Trontadou. And then another developer has snatched up 951 and 961 Trontadou Way, so they plan to break ground soon. So depending how quickly these builds progress, we could be seeing some exciting new listings hitting the market later this year or early next year. There's also a prefab company called Samara that's getting into the action. They've purchased a couple of lots, and they're doing something which is, to be honest, is pretty unique. I mean, originally their plan was to just build a small 840 square foot ADU, which seemed like an odd choice for the area. They've since changed course, and now they're planning to build a 2-bedroom unit with an attached ADU on each of the 2 lots that they've bought. I mean, it's a smart move that allows them to maximize the potential of the property while still offering a more affordable price point, while at the same time showcasing their ADU product. Of course, there are a few things to keep in mind with the farm stand area. The main downside is that you are pretty close to the freeway, so there's going to be some traffic noise to contend with for sure. But the upside is that you're still incredibly close to downtown Healdsburg, and you're getting new construction without the resort premium you'd pay in the resorts that we've talked about. Another area to keep an eye on is Old Rossi Road, which is right next to Farm Stand. There's an experienced custom home builder there who's got a proven track record of delivering good quality custom homes. In fact, there was a recent sale at 200 Old Rossi Place that sold for 2.38 million, and I know they've got another new home coming to market later this year. Again, proximity to the freeway is something to consider, but for the right buyer, it could be a great opportunity to buy a brand new custom home. Finally, I want to touch on an innovative small-scale development called River House. I sold these a couple of years ago, but they do come up for resale, so get in touch if you'd like to be added to the list to find out when one of these is likely to come up for resale. And what I do love about this development, which is 8 individual homes, is the focus on thoughtful design for a smaller home. They've created a really community-oriented layout with shared spaces, and it's about maximizing outdoor living and functionality. And the homes at River House feature what's called a cottage court concept, with an emphasis on the community green spaces, functional porches, and also smart storage solutions. I mean, it's a great option for downsizers or couples without kids, or anyone who's looking for a lock-up and leave lifestyle that feels connected to the community. Plus, the other good thing about River House is it is in a prime location. It's walkable to downtown Healdsburg along the bike path, and it's right near Mill District, which means you've got great restaurants, shopping, tasting rooms right at your fingertips. And with future riverfront development potential in the works, this is an area that's only going to get more desirable. So remember those classic Healdsburg Victorians I mentioned earlier? What if I told you there's a way to buy this type of home without all the challenges of doing it up? Now, I know what you might be thinking. Didn't we just spend all that time talking about the challenges of owning a historic home? And you're absolutely right. But here's the thing, with a ground-up rebuild, you get the best of both worlds, the charm and character of a historic property with all the modern amenities and conveniences you want. So what exactly does a ground-up historic rebuild entail? Well, essentially it means taking a historic home that's fallen into disrepair or is otherwise unsalvageable, and completely rebuilding it from the ground up. The key here is that the new construction is done in a way that maintains the historic character and architectural features of the home. A great example of this was 521 Prince Avenue, which we recently sold for 1.452 million. From the street, this home looks like a beautifully preserved piece of Healdsburg history. It's got all the hallmarks of a classic Victorian, the intricate trim work, the gabled roof lines, the charming front porch, but step inside and you'll find a completely modern interior with high-end finishes, an open floor plan, and all the latest technology. The builders of 521 Prince Avenue took great care to preserve a lot of the architectural details of the home, like the fireplace, but they've also made strategic updates to improve the functionality and efficiency of the space, like adding new electrical, new plumbing, and installing energy efficient windows, etc. The result is a home that feels like a piece of Healdsburg history but functions like a brand new state-of-the-art home. And the best part, you don't have to deal with all the headaches or unknowns that come with renovating a historic property yourself. So I know these types of properties don't come on the market every day, but as I mentioned earlier, we've got one coming to market soon. It's a property called Holcombe House, which is undergoing a complete historic renovation, literally as we speak. Holcombe House on Piper Street is a true Healdsburg treasure. It's one of the oldest homes in town, dating back to the early 1900s. But like many historic properties, it has fallen into disrepair over the years. The current owners saw the potential in the home and decided to undertake a full-scale renovation to bring it back to its former glory. And I've had the opportunity to tour the property mid-renovation, and let me tell you, it's going to be something that is really special. You can see a tour we did in a few weeks in a separate video, which we'll put in the description below. They're keeping all the original architectural details, The wood floors, the sash windows, and the huge old porch, so typical of a lot of Healdsburg historic homes. But they're also making some strategic updates, like adding gourmet kitchen, a luxurious primary suite, an ADU above the garage, and a really great outdoor living space. When Holcomb House hits the market, it's going to be a true showstopper, and for the right buyer, it's going to be an incredible opportunity to own a piece of Healdsburg history without any of the hassles or risks that come with a traditional historic renovation. So if you're someone who loves the idea of owning a historic home but doesn't love the idea of taking on a major renovation project, a ground-up historic rebuild might be the perfect solution for you. Of course, these types of properties are still a significant investment, but when you compare the cost and timeline of a ground-up rebuild to a traditional historic renovation, it starts to look like a pretty attractive option. With a rebuild, you know exactly what you're getting, and you can move in and start enjoying your home literally right away. But if you want the ultimate in customization and control, building your dream home from the ground up, it's hard to beat. So I've got to tell you, this is definitely the hardest option. It requires a lot of careful planning, a deep understanding of the costs involved, and a willingness to embrace the inevitable twists and turns that come with building a house from the ground up. But if you're up for the challenge, building custom homes can be an incredibly rewarding experience that allows you to craft a one-of-a-kind living space that meets your individual needs and lifestyle. First things first though, you've got to find the perfect lot. And the good news is there are still some great opportunities in Healdsburg. Take 1000 Burrell Lane, for example, costing, in the order of $800,000. I mean, it's a fantastic 3/4 of an acre lot with stunning views of the southern and western hills. And it's got city services right there on site. So if you're looking to build a home in the 2,500, 3,500 square foot range, this could be the perfect lot for you. If you're working with a smaller budget and looking for something closer to downtown, then 725 University might be more your thing. At just about 500,000, it's one of the more affordable lots in the city, and it's perfectly sized for an 1,800, 2,000 square foot home with a garage and maybe even an ADU. The location is prime with easy access to shops, restaurants and tasting rooms that make Healdsburg so special. For those really looking to stretch their dollar, there's 1581 Clearridge. I mean, it's a bit further out on the north end of town, near Parkland Farms, and it's a relatively small, steep lot, which can make construction more challenging. But at $299,000, it's a good opportunity for the right buyer with a vision and a willingness to get creative on the build. Of course, empty lots aren't the only option when it comes to building custom homes in Healdsburg. Another route that's becoming increasingly popular is buying a tear-down property, essentially an older home that you purchase and then demolish it and then start afresh. There have been notable examples of this in recent years. Back in 2016, 245 Lincoln had a modest 2-bed, 1-bath home on it on a 5,500 square foot lot. It sold for about $850,000 and was promptly torn down to make way for a custom home. And then more recently, 329 Tucker, a 3-bed, 3-bath home with 2,600 square feet on 0.4 acres, went for nearly $2 million in 2020. The location's incredible, literally one of the best streets in Healdsburg, and the lot was primed for a custom home valued at $5, $6, $7 million. The advantage of going down the teardown route in the city limits is that you're starting with a property that's already got utility connections, it's a flat lot, often, and an established neighbourhood. I mean, this can streamline the permitting and construction and design process and potentially save you money and headaches in the long run. But regardless of whether you're starting with an empty lot or a teardown, it's important to have a clear understanding of the building costs in Sonoma County. So right now, base construction's running anywhere from $500 to $800 per square foot. And that's just the beginning. There's a whole host of additional costs to consider if you're going to be putting in a pool, extensive landscaping. I mean, that in its own right can add 15, 20, 25% to your budget. And then you've got the cost of appliances, connections, water and sewer hookups, design and architectural fees, permitting costs, all of these need to be factored into the overall build. So we've talked about the costs associated with building custom in Healdsburg, but what about the timeline? Well, buckle up, because the process isn't quick. From start to finish, you're typically looking at an 18 to 26 month journey, and that's assuming everything goes relatively smoothly. The first 6 to 12 months are usually devoted to the design and permitting phase. This is when you're working with an architect to hash out the overall vision for your home, going through rounds of revisions and refinements until you've got a design that meets all your needs and ultimately can be built for within your budget. But from there, you'll need to navigate the city review process, which includes design review, building department approvals, utility planning. I mean, you'll hear people complain about Healdsburg City, but compared to a lot of places, it really is easy. When you submit your plans, they guarantee to turn it round in 3 weeks. The great thing is that you can just walk into the planning office and have a chat with them. That's one of the benefits of a small town. So once you've got your permits in hand, it's time to break ground and move into the construction phase. I mean, this is where the real fun begins. It's also where a lot of the unknowns can crop up. You're looking at another 12 to 14 months of work, starting with site preparation, foundation work, then framing, all the structural elements, and then all the finishes. I mean, it's important to note that this timeline is just an estimate. There's a whole host of factors that can extend the process, from supply chain issues to contractor and subcontractor availability, and it's all part of the overall process. That's why it's so critical to have a contingency built into your budget, both from a budget point of view and a timeline, so that you're not caught off guard when the inevitable challenges arise. But for all the challenges that come with building a custom home, there's also big advantage to building on a city lot in Healdsburg. For one thing, the permitting process is generally much more streamlined compared to building on a rural property. You've got existing infrastructure in place, clear zoning requirements, and an established neighbourhood context to work with. Of course, navigating all these moving pieces is not a one-person job. To ensure the success of your custom build, it's absolutely essential to work with experienced local architects and contractors who understand Healdsburg inside out. I mean, these are the folks who understand the unique character zone restrictions, who have got a relationship with the building department, who can help you anticipate and plan for the full scope of the project. And choosing the right team is make or break when it comes to building custom. You want to work with people who communicate clearly, who are responsive to your needs and concerns, and have got a track record of delivering high quality work on time and to budget. I mean, don't be afraid to ask for references to look at portfolios and to vet your options before making a decision. And finally, I can't stress enough the importance of building contingencies for both your budget and your timeline. No matter how well you plan, there will always be unexpected costs and delays that crop up along the way. By padding your budget and your schedule, you give yourself the flexibility to adapt and adjust as needed without derailing the entire project. So building a custom home in Healdsburg is definitely not for everyone. It requires a significant amount of investment in time, money, and energy, and it's a process that will test even the most patient and persistent among us. But for those who are up for the challenge, the rewards are truly unparalleled. And hey, if you want to know more about Sonoma County before jumping into new construction home, different towns, amenities, real estate, and insider tips, I've prepared an exclusive Building Your Dream Home ebook to help you out. Make sure you download it in the description below. Also, if you want to get up-to-date information with what's happening in Sonoma County, sign up for our newsletter. It goes out weekly and it's got great information and tips and everything you need to know if you're planning to move to Sonoma County. Now, you must be thinking we've covered everything, and before you make any decisions, you must understand the full financial picture for each of these paths. So let's break it down. Starting with the luxury developments like Mill District and Montage. There's no question that these are going to be the priciest options on the table. You're looking at starting prices in the multiple millions, and that's just for the base property. But the upside is that these developments do come with a whole host of amenities that you won't find anywhere else. So now let's talk about the custom build route. I mean, this is where things can get a little tricky to predict because there are just so many variables to play with. I mean, the first big one is the cost of land, which can vary wildly depending on the location and the size of the lot. In Healdsburg, you're looking at anywhere from $300,000 to over $1 million just for the dirt. Then you've got your construction costs, which are going to run anywhere between $500 and $800 a square foot, depending on the finishes that you choose and obviously the design. When you add it all up, it's not uncommon for the total investment to come to 20 to 30% above the base construction cost. So if you're looking at building a 3,000 square foot home at $600 per square foot, you're talking about an investment of over $2 million when it's all said and done. And then finally, let's talk about the historic rebuild route. This one's a little harder to pin down because it depends on the specific property and the scope of the renovation. But in general, you're looking at a renovation costs that are typically 60% of what you'd expect to pay for new construction. So if a new custom build would run you $600 a square foot, a historic renovation might come in the region of like $350 to $450 a square foot. Of course, with a historic property, you've got the added variable of unknowns and contingencies. You never really know what you're getting into until you start peeling back the layers of a 100-year-old home, and those surprises can add up quickly. At the end of the day, no matter which route you choose, building or buying a new construction in Healdsburg is a significant financial undertaking. It's not a decision to be made lightly, and it requires a lot of careful planning and due diligence. So how do you choose the right new construction option for you? I mean, it all depends on your priorities, things like budget, timeline, location, and lifestyle needs. I mean, the key considerations, these are really the factors that are going to shape your entire experience, from the type of property you choose to the timeline and budget you're working with. So let's break each of them down. First up, budget and timeline. This is probably the most critical piece of the puzzle because it's going to dictate everything else. If you're working with a tight timeline and a flexible budget, a new construction development like Mill District or Montage might be your best bet. If you've got a little more time to play with and you're looking for something custom, a ground-up build might be the way to go. Typically, you're looking at 18 to 24-month process from start to finish, which includes everything from design and permitting to construction and final inspections, and that's once you've found the home. It's a longer timeline, but it also gives you the freedom to create a home that's tailored to your exact needs and preferences. For those drawn to the charm and character of a historic property, a rebuild or renovation project might be the perfect fit. And the timeline on this can vary wildly depending on the scope of the project and the condition of the property, or you might just want to wait for the right project that's been renovated by somebody else for you to buy. If you are looking to do your own renovation, it could be a few months for a cosmetic refresh, or a year or more for a down to the studs overhaul. The key here is working with the right team that has experience in historic renovations and can help you anticipate and plan for any surprises that might come up along the way. So now let's talk about the location. I mean, this is a big one because Healdsburg is a community with a lot of different pockets and personalities. If you're someone who loves to be in the heart of the action with easy access to shops, restaurants and tasting rooms, you might prioritize properties with the downtown proximity. The trade-off here is you'll be sacrificing a bit of privacy and square footage, and they come at a premium. If you're more drawn to wide open spaces and sweeping views, you might look for properties on the outskirts of town or up in the hills. These locations offer more room to spread out and take in the natural beauty of the area, but they also come with a bit more seclusion and potentially longer drives into town. Of course, neighbourhood character is another important consideration. I mean, are you drawn to the charm of the historic district with its Victorian homes and tree-lined streets, or do you prefer the modern aesthetic of a newer resort-style development? Or do you want to be part of an established community, or are you excited about the potential of an up-and-coming area? These are all questions to ask yourself as you're exploring your different options. So finally, let's talk about the lifestyle needs. I mean, this is where you really need to drill down into how you want to live in your new home. I mean, are you looking for a lock and leave property that you can use as a second home or a rental investment? Or are you planning to make Healdsburg your full-time residence? Do you want the convenience and amenities of development with things like concierge services, fitness centres and community pools? Or do you prefer the privacy and customisation of a standalone property? So these are just some of the questions you need to consider. So while new construction options in Healdsburg may seem limited at first glance, understanding the full spectrum of possibilities offers a whole new perspective. The key is working with an experienced local professional who can help guide you through the process and help you understand the true costs and benefits of each option. So if this is what you're looking for, or even if you're thinking about buying a home anywhere in Sonoma County, we'd love to help you. All you have to do is give us a call, send me a text at 707-238-2112, or just email me at david@BruingtonHargreaves.com. You can also check our website and subscribe to our newsletter to get new listings and also understand more about the exciting things that are happening in Sonoma County. Our team is one of the top teams in Sonoma County, helping clients buy and sell over $70 million of real estate in 2025. With us, you get inside access to the homes that are coming on the market and lots more besides. Hey, before you go, if you enjoyed this video, you'll love my next video coming up on screen now.